This is the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and in this video I'm gonna tell you what I think about it after using it for a couple weeks as my daily driver. Of course, we're gonna talk about camera, battery, performance, design, display, and everything else you wanna know, but the main point of this video is not to go super deep on specs and numbers, no. Is to actually focus on what matters, what you actually want to know, and what you're gonna benefit from and notice if you go ahead and buy the new iPhone 17 Pro Max. So let's start an honest review. Let's begin. How is it going, everybody? You're watching Then About Tech, and of course, the first thing I have to talk about is design. That's the biggest change overall when you're talking about anything about this phone. The biggest change is the design, especially if you go with this color, the launch color, the main color, Cosmic Orange. And if you ask me, most people are actually getting this color, not only by feeling, like seeing people on the street using the new phone, but when we see the data, most people are getting this. This is the color that actually got sold out. So this is the favorite color. And I think it's not really because of the color itself, because in my opinion, it doesn't look very pretty, but it's because it draws a lot of attention. So everyone that looks at this phone from a distance, like a mile away, they'll instantly tell it's the new phone, it's the 17 Pro Max. It has this sense of occasion, so that's why most people are getting this phone right here. And speaking about like sense of occasion, it's incredible. It's only been like 2 times that I can remember that I actually felt this, that every single place that I go, everyone wants to take a look at my phone. And this has only happened with the iPhone X, the iPhone 10, right? Because it was completely new, it didn't have the home button, and also everybody wanted to look at this phone. And this happened back in 2017, so almost 10 years ago. And of course, with the first iPhone, the iPhone 2G, which I had as well, and everybody wanted to have a look. Of course, it was a huge revolution. And I'm not saying this is a huge revolution, okay, just to be very clear. I'm just saying everyone wants to take a look at this phone. People see my Instagram, they know I got the new phone. So wherever I go, they say, Daniel, can I have a look at the new iPhone? Can I have a look at the iPhone 17 Pro? It's incredible. And when they see me using it, they want to have a look again. So it's amazing. So this is something to keep in mind. If you like this is a great phone for that, because everyone will want to have a look at your phone, especially depending on where you are in the world. If new iPhone isn't something very, very common, it's gonna be even more of a event, okay? Just to be very, very clear. But worldwide, everyone will want to have a look at your phone, especially if you get it right now in the very first weeks, okay? But speaking about the design itself, is really a love-hate situation. Like half of the people who see this phone love it, wanna get it, like dream of getting this phone, and half of them actually hate it. They think it's ugly because of this dual tone, and of course because of the orange, it gets like exacerbated as well. But even if you get the blue or the silver, like people are gonna love or hate just because it's different. It's like there's this huge like plateau, as Apple calls it. It's just a huge block, as you know. And then we have dual tone, we have glass and metal, so it draws a lot of attention. But speaking about the actual design and the reason why Apple chose this is very, very clear. For the first time, the iPhone has an aluminum unibody. So just like your MacBook, for example, which is made out of a big piece of aluminum, unique piece of aluminum, it's the exact same thing here. So going from the front, side, all the way to the back, everything that you're seeing that has this slightly darker color, right? Going round, everything here is aluminum. It's really a unibody. So it's a block of aluminum. And then just this cutout is actually made of glass. So this is new. Apple never done that. Before, the iPhone used to be a glass panel on the front, glass panel on the back, and metal just on the sides. But as you can see now, we have metal on the back as well, a big portion of the back. And as I mentioned, this is aluminum. You probably know this already, but the iPhone 17 Pro series actually uses aluminum instead of titanium like we saw in previous Pro generations. And that's because of 1, weight, and 2, heat dissipation, and we're going to talk about heat and the new vapor chamber and how this affects performance in a second when we talk about performance. But for now, we're talking about design. As you can tell as well, we have this big plateau here at the top, this big block, and that's because Apple decided to actually throw a bunch of the components they had here, like in the middle of the phone, to the top, to this portion right here. And with that space that was left after moving things, migrating things here to the top, they actually had some space to fit a bigger battery. And of course, we're gonna talk about battery in a second as well. So the idea here is not to fit camera components like people think. No. This is actually to save room in the middle of the phone for a larger battery. So they moved stuff here from the middle to the top. If you actually want to see an in-depth video just talking about the design of this phone, I'm going to redirect you to another video here of this channel. I'm going to leave a card, link in the description, where I actually unbox this iPhone and I show you every single square centimeter of this phone. Up and down, side, left and right, front, every single thing you want to see about this phone, I show you in this other video, pretty much dedicated to talk about the design, the color, and every single aspect of it. As I said, the point of this video is to be more of a general, overall review of this phone, giving you my opinion. So if you want to go ahead and take a look at the other one, I bet you're gonna like it. Moving on, we have to talk about the second biggest change of this iPhone, which is the battery. And unlike the design, which is polarizing, some people like it, some people don't, everyone is gonna love the new battery on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. And again, I'm not gonna focus too much on specs, so the only thing I think you should know about the battery is that for the first time, Apple put a 5,000 milliamp hour battery on an iPhone, a little bit over 5,000 milliamp hours. But in the end of the day, what does that really mean? And of course, I'm gonna show you right now. So if I go ahead and open up my iPhone settings, and then I scroll down and go to battery, and then right here, let it load, it's important that it loads, scroll down and go to view all battery usage, take a look at this. Let's talk about yesterday. So yesterday I've used 85% of my battery, and that actually gave me almost 9 hours of screen on time. So if we take a look, for example, at today, 60% of battery usage, 5.5 hours of screen on time. What this actually means is, with this phone, for the very first time, you're gonna get 10 plus hours of screen on, screen active time on a full battery, on a full charge. Of course, with these numbers here, sometimes you are extrapolating. Also, it varies a lot on how you use your iPhone, but I'm getting consistently 10 plus hours of screen on time with this guy. And I have to tell you, that's a first. I've never had over 8 hours and a half. Just so you have an idea, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, so last year's iPhone, it's brand new. It's a great iPhone, great battery. It would give me 8 hours and a half of screen on time. Sometimes 8 hours 20, sometimes 8 hours 40, sometimes 7 hours 50 of screen on time with a full battery. That meant that on my use, I actually had to recharge my iPhone during the day. It wouldn't last a full day of use. With this phone, this has never happened because I just couldn't use over 10 hours of screen on time every single day. So as you can see right here, you can easily see the graphs here. They don't go over 100%. I can't use 100% of this battery simply because there's not enough time in 24 hours to use over 10 hours of screen on time. What I'm telling you here is you're getting, with this phone, 2 plus hours every single day of use, of actual use of screen on, screen active time every single day compared to the 15 Pro Max or 16 Pro Max. 2 plus hours every day. It's almost impossible to drain this battery completely, to kill this battery in one day if you start the day with 100%, or of course if you start it with 80 and then recharge it during the day. Generally you won't even need that. 80% is already enough because This is amazing. Now let's talk about the third main improvement of the iPhone 17 Pro, which is of course the new cameras. And it's probably not gonna be what you're thinking about, but I'm already gonna tell you that the main thing, the main difference when we're talking about the camera is the selfie camera, is the front-facing camera. The back cameras are a little bit better, but you won't really notice much of a difference. Especially if you're coming from a 15 Pro Max or a 16 Pro Max, it's gonna be around the same thing. Of course, the image is gonna be a little bit clearer, a little bit crispier. The photos at night are gonna be a little bit better with less graininess, with more detail. But again, it's not a huge revolution on the main camera. Same goes with the ultra wide. Pretty much same camera, same sensor. We're not seeing anything different there. But when we're talking about the telephoto, it gets a little bit better. So instead of 12 megapixels, it goes to 48 megapixels, and now the zoom is better. So Apple calls it 8 times optical quality zoom. So it's almost like 8 times optical zoom, but it's not. Some of it's digital, so that's why they say optical quality. But what that actually means is zoom is better. So it goes further with more quality. So you can actually definitely tell when you're taking a photo or making a video that you can actually get more zoom. You can actually zoom in a little bit more compared to previous iPhones. So just as a reference, the iPhone 16 Pro Max goes to 5 times when you are actually choosing your options, 5 times zoom. And then if you zoom all the way, it goes to 25 times. The 17 Pro Max goes to 8 times as a default, and then you can zoom in all the way to 40 times. So it feels like it's a big difference, but in real life it's not that huge, but it is better. But as I mentioned, the big difference is in the selfie camera that jumps from 12 megapixels to 18 megapixels, but again, that's not the biggest point here. The change, the real change, is the sensor that is way larger now, so photos look way better. Of course, photos and videos. So if you go ahead and open up your iPhone 17 and just switch to the selfie camera, you'll definitely notice that the image is so good. It feels like it's the back camera, it's the main camera that's actually on the front. So just taking a normal selfie or making a quick video looks so much better. Daytime, nighttime, it's just a huge camera upgrade. You definitely tell that. And nowadays, selfie is so important because of social media and so on. But not only that, it has new features as well. So for example, it actually opens up way more when you want to take a photo with some people, some friends. So the field of view is much wider. So you have the possibility, but not only that, you also have the possibility to take landscape selfie photos with your iPhone in portrait mode. So without actually having to switch and flip your iPhone and turn your iPhone to the side. You don't need to do any of that. And to get things even better, now you have dual capture. So you actually can record a video using both cameras at the same time, the back camera and the front camera. This is great for creators. We used to be able to do that with third-party apps. Now you can do it natively with your iPhone with iOS. So great upgrade in the selfie camera. Now I want to quickly talk about the display, which is also better. So first things first, let's talk about the glass itself before talking about what's behind the glass. The glass itself is now Ceramic Shield 2, and we actually have Ceramic Shield 2 front and back. So that back panel of the iPhone 17 Pro Max is also Ceramic Shield 2, but the biggest improvement there has to do with peak brightness. So now instead of like peak brightness being 2000 nits, which used to be from previous iPhone models, now it's actually 3000, 50% more on just one generation to the other. So this is very good. But again, peak brightness is only needed when you are outdoors, when you are like in direct sunlight. So your iPhone is gonna be way brighter. Of course, just for a few moments, not for prolonged use, but it's already a huge benefit. And we also have an anti-reflective layer on the iPhone 17 Pro Max. So again, if you are outdoors with a lot of lighting and so on, your iPhone display is gonna be a little bit less reflective. It's not that great, like in real life, you don't notice that much if you're not really paying attention, but it does make a difference. Another thing that does make a difference, but not that much, is the processor. We now have the A19 Pro processor, which is great. Like, it's amazing. But if you ask me, the A18 was already great and amazing as well. And honestly, for my use, I just couldn't tell the difference. And just to be very clear, I'm not a heavy gamer. I don't edit on my iPhone. I use my iPhone like a normal pro user, let's call it that. So I use it a lot. I do rely on my iPhone to work all day, every single day. As you just saw, sometimes 9, 10 hours of screen on time, but that's normal use. So that's social media, emails, streaming, of course, like video calls with the team, and of course with everybody that I work with. So it's a normal use, heavy use, but I don't really do heavy gaming and so on, or heavy editing or anything like that. So I never felt the need of more performance on my 16 Pro Max, and it's the exact same thing on the 17 Pro Max. But if you want to get a little bit more technical, the main difference you're gonna notice if you are that type of user is it's not like your iPhone is gonna get much faster if you're coming from the 16 Pro Max, for example, but the real change here is this iPhone, the 17 Pro Max, can actually sustain performance, like hard performance, for a longer time. And that's because of the new processor, but also because of the vapor chamber. Remember I talked about the vapor chamber when we're talking about the design in the beginning of this video. So the point of the vapor chamber is to make sure this phone doesn't overheat. So that on its own, making sure the iPhone doesn't get too hot, will already give you a much better performance. So that's the biggest change. It's not the processor as well, it's the thermal. And that's a great job Apple made on this phone, making it an aluminum unibody and the vapor chamber. And of course, a better and more effective CPU and GPU with the new chip. It's incredible how this phone operates and how it just doesn't overheat at all. I've never felt it hot in those few weeks that I'm using this phone. And it was pretty common to feel that on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And of course, it has to do with all of this that I mentioned, but it has to do with a better chip, better chassis, better material, and the vapor chamber, which is literally a unit that's inside, physically inside, kind of a chip, let's call it that, that's inside the phone, that actually has water inside, and that actually like vaporizes and then condenses every once in a while just to balance the temperature inside the phone. It's a huge technology thing if you think about it. It's inside an iPhone. It's incredible. And just to finish up the performance part of this video and a little bit of the stats, this iPhone now has 12 gigabytes of RAM. It's the first time Apple fits 12 gigabytes of memory inside an iPhone. The previous generation, the 16 Pro Max, had 8 gigabytes, so that's 50% more. Again, depending on what you do in your activities, you may feel a bigger difference, but for me, I just never felt I needed more with the 16 Pro Max. And now, to wrap up this video, I have to answer the most important question. What's my take? What I actually think about the iPhone 17 Pro Max? Is it a good deal? Should you get it? Should you upgrade? Is this a good phone? What I actually think about this as a user and as a tech reviewer. And I have to tell you, the three main differences of this phone compared to previous iPhones are actually pretty interesting. They're actually a pretty big deal. The new design is something like a love or hate, so it's really up to you. If you like the design, great. If you hate it, that's already a red flag, something you should think about. When you think about the new battery, it's just incredible, it's amazing. Everyone is gonna benefit from this, especially if you already think that your battery on your phone is not really handling, it's not really giving you what you're expecting. So this will, I just can't think of someone having to charge this phone twice a day. It's just like unthinkable, like in my opinion, for 99% of users. And when we talk about the new cameras, especially the new selfie camera, it's also a pretty big deal because we use the cameras a lot. The new cameras are great, the selfie camera is more than great. So Apple really touched on the most important parts of the phone when we think about it. Battery, camera, design, This is what everyone actually wants. This is the difference people actually demand from Apple, and they actually gave it to us in one go, in one phone, everything that we were waiting. So if you're coming from the iPhone 15 Pro or anything older than that, and you're thinking about upgrading your phone to another Pro phone, don't think about anything else than the iPhone 17 Pro Max. There's no point upgrading to the 16 Pro Max. Go straight to the 17 Pro Max, like do the big leap and then get this phone because you will love it. It's worth it. It's a great phone, especially because the prices are actually pretty similar. But if you have a 16 Pro Max already, so if you just upgraded last year, I just don't think there's much point updating to this phone unless you are an enthusiast. Unless you really love Apple and you always need to have the latest and greatest, the flagship from Apple. Great, it's your money, and I think you're gonna love it actually, because I do, but it's not like you have to upgrade. You must upgrade because the changes and the updates are slightly incremental if you compare to the previous generation. Of course, when you're talking about 2 generations ago, 3 generations ago, then definitely it's a huge difference, as I mentioned, but coming from one generation to the other, it's not gonna be huge, but you're not gonna regret it either because this phone is honestly great. I think it's the very first time in many years that I can tell you that this is a great upgrade. This is a good upgrade in many different levels. As I told you, camera, battery, design, even the performance, everything is better, and I just love the iPhone 17 Pro Max. Apple definitely nailed on this phone, and I absolutely love it. So, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you on the next videos here, guys. Bye-bye.